Words of our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, "He who chooses the infinite has been chosen by the infinite. He has received the divine touch without which there is no awakening, no opening of the spirit. But once it is received, attainment is sure." With always our love and blessings, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo's Savitri. Book 4, the Book of Birth and Quest. Canto 4, The Quest, page 432. Afar from the brute noise of clamorous needs, the quieted, all-seeking mind could feel at rest from its blind outwardness of will, the unwearied clasp of her mute, patient love, and know for a soul the mother of our forms. This spirit stumbling in the fields of sense, this creature bruised in the mortar of the days, could find in her broad spaces of release. Not yet was a world all occupied by care. The bosom of our mother kept for us still her austere regions and her musing depths, her impersonal reaches, lonely and inspired, and the mightinesses of her rapture haunts. Muse-lipped, she nursed her symbol mysteries and guarded for her pure-eyed sacraments the valley clefts between her breasts of joy, her mountain altars for the fires of dawn, and nuptial beaches where the ocean couched, and the huge chanting of her prophet words. Fields had she of her solitary mirth, plains hushed and happy in the embrace of light, alone with the cry of birds and hue of flowers, and wildernesses of wonder lit by her moons, and grey sere evenings kindling with the stars, and dim moment in the night's infinitude. August, exulting in her Maker's eye, she felt her nearness to him in earth's breast, conversed still with the light behind the wheel, still communed with eternity beyond. A few and fit inhabitants she called to share the glad communion of her peace. The breath, the summit were their natural home. Words of our Lord Sri Aurobindo, taken from the collective works of our Lord Sri Aurobindo book, The Mother with Letters. Topic: Taking Refuge in Their Protection, page 99. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, "You may be sure that we shall not desert you and that we would never dream of doing so. You say truly that what drives you into these moods is the Asuric Maya or a god from the Asura. It is what we speak of as the hostile force. What answers to it is a part of the human vital that has an attraction or habit of response to suffering, self torment, depression, and despair. But in itself, what comes is from outside and not from within you. It is, as I have more than once told you, a formation that has been made and repeats itself, and this is shown by the fact that once it starts, it goes round always in the same course of ideas, suggestions, and feelings. The first thing you have to do, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo, is to recognize it for what it is. It was not, for instance, all your nature that advised you not to write to the mother, but it was the suggestion of this force. If you recognize these things as suggestions and of a force adverse to you and your sadhana, it is easier to meet and answer than if you see it as something in yourself. The second thing, says our Lord, is to take refuge in your better and higher self against that vital part which responds to these suggestions. You must not regard this part as all your nature, but only a part of your vital which has taken an exaggerated prominence. Even in the vital, the larger part by far was that which had had high ambitions, generous feelings, a large heartedness, which everybody was obliged to recognize. That is what you must regard as your real self, and you must believe that the divine has a use for that and for the faculties that have been given you. Believe not in a rajasic or egoistic spirit, but in the spirit of the instrument called and chosen to purify itself and be fit for its work and service. And because of that, you have no right to throw it or yourself away, but have to persevere quietly till you are rid of the lower nature and the Asuric Maya. And last but not least, you have to develop the power and the habit of taking refuge in the protection of the Divine Mother and myself. It is for this reason, says our Lord, that the habit of criticizing and judging by the outer mind or cherishing its preconceived ideas and formations must disappear. You should repeat always to yourself when it tries to rise, Sri Aurobindo and the Divine Mother know better than myself. They have the experience and knowledge which I have not. They must surely be acting for the best and in a greater light than that of ordinary human knowledge. If you can fix that idea, says our Lord, in yourself so that it will remain even in clouded moments, you will be able to face much more easily the suggestions of the Asuric Maya. The other justifying suggestions are equally irrational and untrue. Wherever you went, the blow would always fall on ourselves and the ashram, for you are, would remain too intimately identified with us, for it would be otherwise, and distance would make no difference. Next topic, their attitude towards the saddaks. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, you need not think that anything can alter our attitude towards you. That which is extended to you is not a vital human love which can be altered by external things. It remains, and persistently we shall try to help and lift you up and lead you towards the light, where in the union of the soul and heart you will recognize the friend and the mother. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, you should never doubt about the reality and sincerity of our feeling towards you, mine and the Divine Mother's, for it creates a veil and separates where there should be no separation. And it is a first barrier against that openness which is necessary if one is to receive fully or even at all from the Guru. Of course, I saw that something had blinded you and was keeping you unconscious of the force of the trouble, that there was needed a certain clarity of the soul to remove it. Now that it has come, says our Lord, I trust that it will keep the mind clear and free the ways of the Spirit. When these moods come upon you, why do you run away from the Divine Mother and avoid her? Why do you not come to her, tell her frankly what you feel and what is in your mind, and let her take the trouble from you? The reason you give for wishing to leave us are no good reason at all. If you want to see the richness and greatness of God, you will, if you wait, see more of it with us than you ever can outside. If you want to see the Himalayas, it will be much better for you to see them hereafter with your mother besides you. And Lord Sri Aurobindo says, you are quite mistaken when you say that you will go. There will be no devil left in the ashram. The devil is not here because of you. He is here because he wants to give trouble to the mother and spoil her work. And what he chiefly wants is to drive her children away from her, and especially those who, like you, are nearest to her. If you go, he will remain, and not only he will remain, but he will feel that he has won a great victory and will set himself with a double vigor, attack her through others. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, you talk of not giving trouble to the mother and to me, but you do not realize that nothing can be a worse trouble to us than your going away. The moods of revolt that come upon you are clouds that pass. But to see you leave us in this way and feel our love rejected and your place near us empty would indeed be a great trouble to us, and we would feel it more deeply than anything else you could do. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, you know that it is not true that your sole desire is to go away. It is only so when you are in these moods. And you know that these are moods that pass, and if you allow the Divine Mother to take them away, they go at once. And Lord Sri Aurobindo says, the trouble is that when they come, you take them too much to the heart and you begin to think that there is nothing else to do but go away. I assure you that there is no solution, and that we would much rather have you with us even with these moods than be separated from you. Compared with our love for you, the trouble they give us is mere dust in the balance. Talk to the Divine Mother and act according to your true self. Never mind the rest. Next subtopic, faithfulness to the light and the calm. This was written on 31st March of 1930. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, when I spoke of being faithful to the light of the soul and the divine call, I was not referring to anything in the past or to any lapse on your part. I was simply suggesting the great need in all cries and attacks to refuse to listen to any suggestions, impulses, lures, and to oppose to them all the call of the truth, the imperative beckoning of the light. In all doubt and depression, to say, I belong to the divine, I cannot fail. I belong to the divine, I cannot fail. To all suggestions of impurity and unfitness, to reply, I am a child of immortality. I am a child of immortality chosen by Sri Aurobindo and the Divine Mother. I have but to be true to myself and to them. The victory is sure. Even if I fell, I would be sure to rise again, to all impulsions to depart and serve some other ideal to reply. This is the greatest. This is the truth. This alone can satisfy the soul within me. I will endure through all tests and tribulations to the very end of the divine journey. This is what I mean by faithfulness to the light and call, says our Lord. Sri Aurobindo. Prayers and Meditations, July 13, 1917. Akakura. One day I wrote, my heart has fallen asleep down to the very depths of my being. Merely asleep? I cannot believe it. I think it is completely hushed, perhaps forever. From sleep one awakes, from this quietness there is no falling back. And since that day, I have not observed any relapse. In place of something very intensely concentrated, which for a long while was intermittently tumultuous, has come an immensity so vast and calm and untroubled, filling my being, or rather, my being has melted into that, for how could that which is limitless be contained in a form? And these great mountains with their serene counters, which I see from my window, range after majestic range, up to the very horizon, are in perfect harmony with the rhythm of this being, filled with an infinite peace. Lord, could thou hast taken possession of thy kingdom, or rather of this part of the kingdom, for the body is still obscure and ignorant, slow to respond without plasticity. Will it be purified one day like the rest, and will thy victory then be total? It matters little. This instrument is what thou wantest it to be, and its bliss is unalloyed.